right, welcome back to another episode of Two Guys and a Bard. Unfortunately, we were not here last week, but obviously we have the fantastic cast here once again. Most of us rocking beards. Thanes is coming in quite
We're getting it
gorgeously.
going. We're getting it going, you know?
So we've talked about this before, Thane, but you were never a contributing member. What do you do for beard care?
I've got some beard oil that we've got, you know. I've got the brush. Redbeard would be very happy to know I've got down to the fine tooth side of it. I've got that. We can get through that now. It's so good. The little beard oil, little conditioner in there. It's good. I'm happy.
I'm pretty sure Red said he does literally nothing to his beard.
No, that's not true.
Oh, you don't use oil or comb it or?
No, I do.
Okay. I thought last time you said, no, I don't do anything. It's just natural good genes here.
No.
But yeah, so we're going to be talking a little bit about gearing up today, but why don't we start with the usual? What's everyone drinking?
I'll go first. I'm boring today. I'm on water. I'm on water for another 7 days. I got a little sicky and I'm on the antibiotics. Had a little sinus infection, so it's not fun. I hate it so much. But 5 days. 5 days. Next week we'll drink.
Yeah. Next week we'll drink. Redbeard, what are you drinking?
I have Gatorade and that Smirnoff Firecracker mix thing.
So I have an interesting cocktail that I kind of want Thane's opinion on here.
I'm here.
I've been making this for a little while now because a buddy of mine, who after deciding he was going to quit drinking for about the 30th time, emptied out his cabinet and gave me a bunch of booze, and I've just been trying to go through it. But it's interesting. It's 1 part Southern Comfort,
Okay.
1 part Mezcal,
Okay.
and then this is where you're going to not like it, but like a splash of
Cranapple.
Luxardo.
Green apple.
A splash of Luxardo.
Luxardo's pretty much just the cran apple of spirits, though. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here.
It adds just takes the bite off a little bit.
Yeah, I could see wanting to take the bite off of a little bit of that. I'm not sure how I feel about mezcal and SoCo.
It's actually kind of good.
I will 100% take your word on that. I will take your word on that. Maybe one day I'll give it a shot. Maybe one day. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
I'll be at Ash's Con. I'll pull out the bottle of mezcal and the bottle of SoCo and be like, all right, Thane, you said it.
So, guys, I do want to, before we get into the gearing discussion, I do want to draw everyone's attention to the tweet up here. Big news today, obviously, within Ashes of Creation. Steven said that they're rethinking Ranger. They were ready to reveal it, and now they're rethinking Ranger. And they're going to think about doing a Druid archetype. What do you guys think about this?
Ranger is just kind of like a shit class, so I think
it's very played out,
good decision.
like super played out. Yeah. I mean, positive stuff. Redbeard, what are you thinking?
I mean, honestly, the fact that the Druid is going to be able to like teleport like all across the map, like constantly, no cooldown.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to worry about the family summoning system, and like they can just teleport wherever they want. Like I think it's A tier class at that point, and if you're not playing Druid, then you're basically throwing. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And Baba, get fucked, nerd.
Bro, I'm so tilted that by the way, I have to tell you guys, because he's not in chat tonight. So we're gonna, the next 7 minutes of this show is gonna be dedicated to ripping on Baba. I had him going for about 10 minutes. Redbeard, no time. Baba freaked out for a solid 10. PM, call, and then jumped in the voice channel I was in. He actually freaked out there for a bit. But yeah, fake tweets, guys. We're just doing it for the memes. But I do want to call Bob out for another thing. Get wrecked, nerd. Wait, get wrecked or get fucked? What did you say, Redbeard?
Get fucked. I said get fucked.
Get fucked, nerd. I wanted to keep it. That was called callback humor, guys, but I messed it up. So this is how deep some people are. And I got a chance actually tonight to be in the Ethereum Discord, and they had a big watch party. They had about 30 people show up, and they were watching some videos that are around the Ashes of Creation lore. Some of these are starting to be assimilated from the lore drops that we have gotten already, and then some of them are created by just whatever people. But I was talking to their GM over there, and I told Alec, I said, you guys are going to be so ashes pilled, and it's going to get deep. And he's like, what do you mean like it's going to get deep? So this week, Maggie tweeted out, oh, look, here's this new Lexus SUV that I've pre-ordered. I'm going to pick it up in 3 to 6 months. And there's all these comments. People are like, oh, that's awesome. It's actually funny because it's the same one that we ordered as well here. But somebody says, oh, wow, this car has like really major mom vibes to it. Are you, is there something you want to tell us? And she said, no, nothing yet. Based on whatever we're shooting for 2024. Like maybe we'll start trying to have kids in 2024.
Oh, that's a huge leak.
Baba instantly comes to me and is like, I mean, she can't really be working at the studio if she's pregnant with kids. So like, I think that she thinks 2024 Ashes of Creation is going to be released,
No, I'm a deeper cut on it. That it has to be released probably at least 6 months before that.
Yeah.
Whatever time frame, because she just said 2024. But so if she's thinking like summer 2024, then I say games coming out like winter 2023 or like January, February, because there's going to be a lot that she has to do for the initial launch of the game before she can take time, like before taking time off for that. So yeah, I think we might have unintentionally got a massive fucking leak right there.
It was so bad. I told Baba, I'm like, one, how can she not sit behind a computer while pregnant? And two, bruh, you're just too ashes pilled right now. You're just way too ashes pilled. This guy needs a game. He needs something to play. Let me tell you.
I told him.
Hey,
to play
2024. There we go. 2024.
2024. So everyone, Baba Yaga was the first to call it. Game is releasing in 2024 due to pregnancy. Confirmed. Confirmed.
Yes, they will delay for pregnancy, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. But big oof all around. Big oof. But like, so now that the memes are out of the way, it's really just so sad that Baba's not here for this. Like, to really just, I'm clipping this and I'm gonna send it to him. I think I'm gonna send this and just be like, hey, Baba, you were the center. The ladies hate this rumor. Yeah, the ladies. I don't blame you for hating this rumor. It's cringe. It's literally a cringe rumor. It's the cringiest rumor, in fact. Boys, gearing. Holy shit, gearing. That's what I got. That's my take.
That's your take.
That's my take.
Wait. You didn't say the full catch line there. And boys. Yeah. So we've talked before here endlessly about death penalties. We've heard people talk about, is XYZ death penalty too punishing? Is it not punishing enough? I don't think we've really gotten the deep dive into gearing though yet, right? And the process of gearing, and more importantly, the process of repairing. I know a lot of people in Axiom right now are playing Albion, and you just lose the gear. You don't ever is there even repairing in that game? There is repairing, and so the way in Albion it works is there's different zones for different stuff. Anytime you are basically in a zone that has no risk, so like there's something called HCEs, which are hardcore expeditions. Mm-hmm. Like if there's no risk, the repair bill becomes considerable. So you have to play well or you get fucked. So like, I mean, it's probably each death is close to, I would say 10 to 20% of what the gear is worth in those zones. And then the black zone, when you're doing stuff there, if you just go down and you get back up, generally the only time you go down in that kind of zone is to a mob in PvE content. It's not that expensive, but you're also out there risking the fact that you might just get ganked and lose everything. Okay. But the way Albion is it's very much risk reward, just like Ashes of Creation, where you get a lot of benefits from going out in the black zone and taking that risk. But yeah, you're taking a risk. And then also the way it is like gear is so easily replaceable that like you can literally go to the auction house and replace your gear for, I mean, as long as you have the money to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm actually thinking that Ashes might be somewhat similar in terms of how it is with gearing, because nothing is bind on equip. So there's going to be that trickle down effect. So even when, the rest of your guild is in this really good gear and you're just starting, you can buy pretty decent gear because no one wants that anymore because they're in the best gear.
I'm trying to figure out how much I like that, how much I hate that.
Which part specifically, Fang?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's just kind of the cycle there. The cycle there makes gear feel, initially, to me, super meaningless. I get that it's easy to get, right? But that's part of it. I'm usually in MMOs personally. I'm usually very proud of my gear. I'm psyched that I got XYZ cool thing. Yeah, I'm having trouble reconciling that, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, here's the thing in that. Go ahead, Fred.
So I think where, at least where I'm understanding maybe where you might have an issue with it and like losing that importance feeling to it is, leveling gear doesn't matter, except that it does.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like ultimately it doesn't matter, but it matters in that moment at that level for exactly what you're doing. But then 5 levels later, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's something that you can avoid. And I like the idea that I can have that gear that is now meaningless to me be meaningful to somebody else and not just be thrown away. I like the idea of if somebody's, because they're not able to play as much time or they're just more casual, whatever it is, I can say, hey, here's this, chess piece that I ran with from level 30 to level 40. And, you're level 28, you'll be able to put it on soon. Here you go. This will be a huge upgrade. It'll help you out. And so now that piece of gear that in any other MMO and any other type of leveling process just became useless and became dismantle fodder or gold or what, very small amount of, copper or silver.
A whole 1 copper.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like then that's able to then be meaningful to somebody else. And so that hand-me-down side of it, I think adds an element to the gear itself to where it's actually usable past me as an individual. Or if it's something that is really good, but it's only good for level 30 to 40, maybe I bank it and hold on to it for an alt and make and that way my alt is leveling faster. And so I like the idea of it. Now from the side of where I see a lot potentially happening, especially with very well coordinated groups and very trusted, group of friends, even like a clique within a guild, right? Like I know everybody says they don't want cliques in a guild. Well, too bad, they're going to exist anyways.
Yeah.
Because we just have people that we prefer to play with over others. It's just the way it always is.
Yeah.
But the if Fane and I are in a dungeon group together or something like that, and I'm not able to log on, but we're the same class, or we both can utilize the same bow or something like that for whatever reason, for a specific mechanic on a fight,
Mm-hmm.
you might be like, well, hey, log in, let me have that bow for the night so I can use it. And so I feel like from that side of it, it adds a level of gameplay where it's like gear sharing in the sense of sharing responsibilities within a fight, who's able to do what. I might have gotten the drop, but it's actually better for somebody else. And so, I mean, I love the fact that BOP is not really going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it adds a amazing social element to the game. Now, just like with any other social element that has positives, there's toxic negatives that come with that. I could give you the bow. You could say, go screw yourself, Red. I hate your guts.
I'm taking your bow.
And never give it back, right?
Yes, it's going to happen. Give me the bow. I'm taking it.
So, I mean, there's always a downsides to it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like, as long as you're, at least somewhat able to trust the people that you play with, then it could create some fun environments. But primarily from the leveling side, I feel like it makes gear potentially more meaningful longer. And I fully plan on wall leveling because I mean, if Ashes were to come out 3 months from now, I'm wanting to grind my ass off, like and be not for the sake of being one of the first to max level, but because I love finding out the most efficient path to do leveling, and that's always an enjoyment that I have on a day one MMO. But being able to stop and be like, hey, I have all this gear, who needs it? And so if I'm 10, 15 levels above everybody, being able to help out the guild that way.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing for me when I'm looking at this is most modern MMOs, most of the theme parks, most of the games we have played have been loot treadmills. You get your endorphin rush by getting that next best piece of gear. Like when you kill that boss that was really hard and you get that upgrade, that's your endorphin rush. And, you know, there are other games, you know, that aren't as popular or whatever. Often the endorphin rush comes from something else. It's like, and so when I'm looking at Ashes, I'm seeing these bigger guild contributions and things that you're doing as a whole as being the bigger endorphin rush necessarily than just gear. But I think Ashes is trying to bridge that gap between making gear something that's just a throwaway because it isn't full PvP loot drop. And when you get that legendary item, it is really good. But I'm also concerned if you get that legendary item because of the repair costs in this game, right? Because you need actual resources to repair your gear. Mm-hmm. What's that going to look like on a legendary item? Are you going to need a legendary resource to repair your legendary item?
Let's start with a base level then. Well, first of all, I want to ask the question because as the leveling concept came up, and before I lose this, you're leveling 1 to 50. How many sets of gear do you want to have? Not
every 10 levels.
Every 10 levels, you want it to be that you have.
I want to be replacing gear like a singular piece, maybe every 2 or 3 levels. But I would like a kind of I'm getting rid of my last piece that I got at level 20 at level 30.
So
just going.
It's feeling gradual, but it's basically full set about every 10 levels.
It's going along with that baseline though. Where is that upgrade coming from? Is that from some crafter, or is that a full
crafter content? Wherever it's coming
quest
from.
Reward. Yeah. Okay, so it's that there's that like philosophical thing where they say, you know, a boat leaves from England to sail to New York, and pieces slowly break down, and you know you replace the pieces one by one. At the end of the day, is it still the same boat kind of thing, right? You want every few levels you're replacing it. When I'm 20, I have a certain set of gear. By the time I'm 30, I have none of that gear equipped. I have found crafted or whatever better gear.
So, but also that the game is essentially requiring that based on the difficulty.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So it's not just, oh, here's a bunch of free gear that's been given to me. It's I've hit a wall, and so now I need to pause and get like a new sword crafted or a new shield crafted or whatever it is, and search that out because I need that upgrade to be able to for me to. Like I want the difficulty of the content to dictate when I'm needing to stop and focus on gear.
Got it.
I'm going to go along with kind of what Golid and Wizzy are saying, where everything comes from crafting. And then instead of upgrading a piece at a time, you go until things are getting difficult, and then you spend all your money or you spend all your resources to do a full upgrade of gear, and you get that like, all right, let's go. Now we're farming super efficiently for another 10 levels until, you know, kind of peters off. I would actually kind of like to see it because I don't think any MMO that I'm aware of has done something like that. Because that's like an endorphin rush when you're leveling. You have that next big set. You're like, oh, I know I need to be saving my materials and gear to get this next big set of gear every 10 levels.
I don't hate that in principle. Here's the one thing I will say that rubs me wrong about that, the concept, is I don't like that I'm playing. Okay, now I need to stop. I need to make some money. I need to go back to town. I need to go get the leather worker to craft me the pants. I need to go get the weaponsmith to make me the bow. I need to go over here to this guy's going to make me the helm. Like, that's the only part of that, because I've experienced that in games, and I'm sure we all have. That was actually one of the biggest downfalls of WildStar, right? If you weren't getting upgrades randomly from drops and questing, it's very much like, oh, I'm going through this zone, I'm going through the zone, I'm going through the zone. Okay, now I need to go all the way back and teleport all the way back and go in the auction house and find gear because I'm getting wrecked in the next zone.
But Thane, think about it this way. If you spend the first 100 hours of the game just fishing and making money, you'll be set.
All right, I'm on board. Never mind. I'm on board. Okay, so yeah, if you guys don't have the money to buy your gear, get wrecked, nerds. And by get wrecked, nerds, I mean get wrecked, Baba.
So I don't know if it's projecting forward the enjoyment that I get out of like an ARPG, for example, but I thoroughly enjoy, and not even just ARPGs, but MMORPGs and the typical gear ladder that you see.
Yeah.
I do enjoy getting a drop, and it's like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is gonna play well with what I'm doing. Like in terms of an ARPG, right? You know, maybe it's giving you a skill, a buff, or something like that. But even just in terms of stat, like I think having that, especially after killing like an epic boss or something like that, like I do think that having some gear drop is still good. But to kind of counter what you're saying there, Fane, I think that's kind of the point of this game.
Yeah,
is the forced socialization side of it, the forced
I don't
socializing, because it's and I know that at its principle you don't disagree with that, and I know that that's something that you like, but so from what you're saying, as far as like, okay, I'm out here, I'm doing stuff, now I need to stop. I might be near a node, but maybe that node's only level 2, but what I need to get crafted is at a level 3 node, so now I have to run an hour potentially all the way back to this other node. So from that side, I can definitely see that being an issue. But I think though it's not something that I've never experienced that, because I don't have a huge sandbox background. I kind of like the idea of that, because it's kind of like again, one of those time gates that isn't a timer up in the corner. It's one of those things that just says, slow your roll, you're getting ahead of yourself. Like, but then it also allows the skill to shine through. Maybe your gear does suck, but if you're a good player and you're running with other good players, you might be able to get more done before you go back.
And I agree with everything you guys are saying. My only issue is the
flow.
The flow
change.
of, you need to now stop doing the part of the game that you're doing and go interact with this. I mean, what if you're someone who doesn't like PvP, and at level 22, the game said, hey, you need to go grind out 20 arena matches so that you can participate in ranked arena down the road. That you don't want to force people to, and I know that the gear you will be forced to engage on some level, 100%. Whether that's going to a player stall, whether that's tracking down a crafter. Games that flow naturally from part to part to part are always very enjoyable. I will say that if Vladis ever sees this, it's the one good thing that World of Warcraft has done, is that your flow is extremely natural within World of Warcraft. You're not running over here. Sandboxes don't necessarily have that flow. You just kind of...
I was going to say, I don't know if you can necessarily... Like, because even from a lore perspective, it doesn't make sense for there to be a flow, because it's a new world that we're in. No pun intended.
Well, for sure, but you are moving around the world in a way. Whether it's a guided flow, an on rails experience like a theme park, or a sandbox. If I'm out doing something and then it's like, oh, I need to literally stop and turn around and come all the way back to a town to figure that. I don't like that. That's what bugs me.
It's annoying, but I'm gonna put it. And granted, I know I'm doing what you're not necessarily supposed to do, and that's compare real life to a video game. But think about it in the sense of, you just landed in the Americas for the first time ever, and you're like, you know what? I got everything I need. I'm good to go. And you have no idea.
That's what New World was supposed to be.
but you have no idea that grizzly bears are all over California, and so you're trekking along and all this stuff, and you're like, oh shit, what are these giant fucking dog-like things that are trying to tear my face off? I need to go back to town and further equip myself now that I know what the struggles and perils are for this area. And so I think it's definitely going to be an individual mindset to it. There's nothing the game can do to force that. It has to be people willing to go into it knowing that instead of looking at it as a break of the flow, that's just part of the flow.
And so I'm going to chime in there and like just kind of echo what some of you guys have been saying is, well, first let me set the basis, which is what I miss about MMOs nowadays, and this is a lot of the theme parks, is there is no problem solving. It's so linear and so on the rails, and so you just never have to stop and think like, oh, okay, I'm not doing very well here. What can I do to change that? But the other aspect is what you guys are saying is it can't be so out of the box that like your average player has no idea what the fuck to do. Yeah, they have to give you the right tools to encourage you to say, okay, I am struggling now. Here is an aspect that I can do to change that. And whether that's stop and work on your own crafting or stop and make some gold and buy the gear you need or whatever it is, that's fine. But there needs to be the tools and the direction in the game to get players to realize that. Because if you're not a true sandbox player, to just say, oh, all right, I'm going to stop and explore a completely different aspect of this game, because that's what we're going to get with a lot of these WoW players and theme park players is people coming in the game. Like we heard it from, what's the paladin player in WoW that's...
McConnell? No.
Blank on his name. No, the he's good friends with Asmund though.
Rich?
McConnell?
He's like the classic.
Is it McConnell?
Yeah, McConnell.
McConnell?
No, but it's oh my god, he's the Texas football player as well. Never mind, doesn't matter.
How do you know McConnell
Anyway,
doesn't play football? What? Shots at McConnell. New drama, guys. So we got Mizkif and Lil Slick, and now we've got Bardic and McConnell throwing shots at each other.
Definitely. Oh my god. But anyway, he was playing Ashes, and he was like in the alpha, and he was upset that there weren't quests after he'd finished all his quests in that area. He didn't know what to do, and he was upset. And everyone in his chat was like, well, go explore. And he's like, well, I don't want to explore. I just want to be told what to do. Yeah. And it was just like...
Which bad take for a theme park game. And we can all agree on that, right? And some of this does need to be pushing the genre. Part of this whole game is pushing the genre. I think we got to be very careful as to like how we're pushing the genre, right? So on one hand, where you look at WoW, like when you're leveling in WoW, I don't ever remember...
By the way, S-Fan.
Oh, S-Fan. That was the guy. That was the guy. Yeah. No. You're good. Yeah, S-Fan.
Sorry to derail you there.
S-Fan, you're irrelevant. And Bardic's still firing shots at McConnell. Twitter drama. Hashtag 2 guys in a bard. But
and post it to Twitter.
Yeah, guys. We'll tweet something inflammatory. Be sure to retweet that stuff.
12 viewer Andy calling out S-Fan and McConnell.
Boom. We're like the Spartans, there's few, but we're strong. I remember the summer of 2020. It was COVID, lockdown, all that stuff. I before I even played Shadowlands, some people in Axiom had said, "Hey, come play WoW Classic with us." I said, "Okay, I'll level up a mage." I do not remember ever buying gear. I feel like it all came super naturally throughout the process. And this is going to be a detachment from that. And it's something that's going to really need to be solved for, because you guys know me. My take on everybody is like, stop being a casual WoW Andy. Suck it up, kids. But you do need to hold some of those hands a little bit. You do need to explain what the process is. Games are very good at giving you the tools throughout, right? So like, you start off in the game and, everyone spawns into the MMO and it's like, LOL, press WASD to move around. And then it says, press E to interact with the person and press space to dash. And they give you that natural progression. It's harder to show that progression with, hey, you suck. go craft. And it's been done in ingenious ways in games before. Like, you have a quest line that you're going to go on in your starting zone, and you go in and you kill a boss. You guys know those moments in video games where you go and you take a boss and you're like, why did they send me against this boss? I'm getting wrecked. And you die, and then it just instantly respawns you back at the guy. And it's like, hey, you weren't ready for that. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was trash 8 minutes into the game. Like, that moment where...
So I would say in the first 20 levels, yes, hand-holding. But here's a question. With the node system, do you think it's out of the question to have a tutorial and or quests that are associated with economy? Craft these, sell these, do this. Because like I'm not familiar with an MMO that's ever done that, but like that is something so many people love about MMOs and even action RPGs in a certain aspect is the economy, learning how to trade, how to flip, how to watch a market. I mean, we're going to have a stock market in Ashes of Creation. Should there be some basic tutorials of some kind of progression system that isn't just your gold?
I think that there will be, and we already saw one in Ashes, in Alpha 1, when we had to make the rod at the blacksmith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or when we had to make the talisman, and then Steven screwed us over, Bardic.
Well, but that was that one was a little bit more hidden, like to get the talisman.
Not for us smart guys. Yeah. Not for the smart guys.
I'm saying from a WoW Andy.
I'm mostly memeing here at Steven. God damn it, Steven. I'm gonna start Twitter drama today. I feel it.
It's the
Dude, my chat was going off when he started handing those out.
So pissed.
That was probably the most active my chat has ever
so
been.
Pissed off. Sorry, Redbeard, go ahead.
Sorry. No salt farming here.
Did Redbeard die?
No. Did he?
I think he died.
Yeah, okay. I thought he was just memeing on us.
I thought he was too.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! How do you hold that? Good. Wait!
That was so like completely straight for so long.
How did you hold that still?
That was like I saw you move at first, and I was like, he's memeing on us, but then you like held it for so long.
So good too. I literally clicked over to. I'm like clicking to these things, and I'm like checking refresh rates. I'm like, it's refreshing. He's got green bars.
I mean, right here, the fan is reflecting and moving.
Oh, 5-head. Okay.
But no, I mean, like from the WoW Andy side, like I think making sure that there are. I don't want it to be like crafting 101. Step 1, turn on your computer. Step 2, go fuck yourself. Like,
Step 1, turn on your computer.
But making sure that it's, I mean, essentially kind of the way that they did in Alpha 1, where it was like, hey, here's this random quest that's right here. As a player, and regardless of what your MMO gaming background is, you see exclamation point, you go talk to it. Like we know that that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. So you go and do that, and it ends up being a crafting quest. Well, then at that point, you can decide whether you want to do it or not, or you want to go do an exploration quest or a dungeon quest or whatever. You're going to have all of these different kind of paths that you can choose to go down. And so if you do that crafting quest, then that's essentially your introduction to crafting. And so I think that that's the perfect way to do it, because then it allows for a learning experience, and I think that's key. Yeah. Because when somebody says,
quest, right?
Yeah,
like early on in games.
Yeah. I think you eventually have to like either collect rods or craft a rod, or it was something like that. But then it didn't ultimately lead to crafting anything else, but that was the end of it or something.
But you can go out, get resources. A lot of games do that early on, right? Craft an axe. I mean, survival games are very good at this. Very good at this. Craft an axe. Go gather this.
They do it at level 1, and then they just stop.
So they show you the system, but they don't really show you the importance of the system, kind of.
Like here's a possible way to do this: is make crafting quests that give a decent amount of experience, but if you're not a high enough level for that crafting quest, you don't get it. So as you're leveling up, you're encouraged to get your crafting up as well, because then you're actually being more efficient. You're going to end up like you're getting some EXP from the
Okay.
crafting itself.
Okay.
You're getting some limited crafting quests that are only for the person who has leveled up their crafting.
Mhm.
And then you're also encouraging the socialization, because if you're focusing on crafting or one specific, not all crafting, right? You're going to focus on one type of gathering, one type of crafting to start getting that up, at least in the early levels. If you're focusing on that, you start getting the EXP from it, but then you're contributing to the market. So you're making money, then you're buying from other people, and it's that whole interconnected web. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, I get it. It's going to be very interesting to see how they do, because it needs to be very much, and I think this is the way that people really learn in MMOs, a show not tell, right? We talk about that in storytelling a lot, in script writing. How do I show and don't tell? It's, in also theater. I remember being in theater in high school, and it was very much show don't tell. You don't get to walk on the stage and be like, dun dun dun, I'm angry. No, you need to show that you're angry. So you need to show them how to do it in a very natural way. I feel tutorial quests feel, I can't really think of the word I want to use here, but just
Kid game.
kid game. It almost makes
But-
you feel like the game thinks that you're dumb. And I get that a lot of people are dumb, right? I need to know that I need 4 flint and 2 sticks to make that.
Statistically
I mean,
speaking,
I'm
out
often
of the-
dumb as well, so sometimes I
there's
need
fif-
that little.
The little
There's
help, yeah.
15. Oh, my fucking mic got jacked up again. There's 15 people in chat, and then there's 3 of us, so 18. I believe the statistic is that there are 3 smart people out of every 18. So, for example, all of chat is dumb.
Well, we know that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We're the smartest.
sorry, I didn't get chat there. I don't, dude. VOD Ninja just is always jacking with my mic. I do not know why.
I'm constantly moving your volume up and down. So, guys, if Redbeard is too loud, let me know. I will just straight mute him. Hey, I will mute him.
After I just called them all dumb, they're gonna say, yeah, he's too loud.
Yeah, too loud.
We also lost 2 people after we called him dumb.
That's okay. If you can't handle it.
Yeah, if they can't take it, they're not gonna like me at all, so they're not gonna stick around anyways.
So now I want to get back to, we've kind of squirreled here, and I do want to bring it back to the gearing. So we've talked about 5 sets of gearing, or 5 sets of gear or so throughout the leveling process.
Every 10 levels.
And then the repairing is really what is a key here. And I kind of want to start at the basic. Let's say there's a sword. Let's use the iron sword to start off. And it takes 10, 1, 5, whatever you want it to be, right?
So leveling not in game. That's what I was just trying to.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. Throughout, kind of remember how we just sort of did like the node processes and the server processes. Let's try the this with
real
this process. Yeah.
Are we making leveling something different from endgame? Because I personally
Yes.
think leveling should be a lot more forgiving
Yes.
in terms of gear repairs, gearing up, all that. Than endgame, I want to see that true risk reward.
Unless
where I do
I wanna-
wanna see-
unless legendaries can drop pre-level 50, then I agree.
Well, here's where I want to disagree with you guys, and this is sort of me playing devil's advocate. I agree initially, but honestly, if you need to repair your gear while you're leveling, you're probably messing up, and so that can be kind of punishing. It's okay if that's a little punishing.
Okay, well, this brings up another issue, right? How much is just standard repair from getting hit and attacking?
And so, yeah, I mean, and how that degrades. Let's go back to the iron sword real quick. It takes 10 iron ingots to make an iron sword, let's say.
Okay.
We know that you're not repairing with gold, you're repairing with materials.
Okay.
How many iron ingots does it take to repair that level 5 iron sword?
Depends on how broken it is.
Yeah, like-
Okay, so let's
Well, I
scale.
get-
Let's scale. Let's say it's totally broken. Let's say 0.
Half.
Half.
So
5. And then essentially every 20% you would take one off there. So if it's at 80%, it would take 1. If you're the crazy person that needs to repair. How do you feel about that, Bard? How do you feel about those numbers?
Well, I mean, also as Steven has said, once it's fully broken, it's a lot more, right? So maybe 80% if you're not paying attention to your gear and you let it fully break, 50% for the rest of it.
Okay, so
Does that make sense?
if it's 0 out of 100 durability, it's going to cost you 8. If it's 1% durability, it's going to cost you 5. So if you truly are letting it go
Yeah.
all the way down, or if it's at 14% and you keep
mean-
dying to the same mob, and you're still getting a break off of what it's going to cost to replace, right? There's always going to be a replace kind of discount. I like those numbers. Honest. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're, because the only thing that's, I mean, I could see some like shenanigans happening, like where it's like, oh, it's 1%, and then you have somebody standing there like, I'm not doing anything because I don't want to pay the extra repair cost. But I think from a theory crafting standpoint, I think yeah, that's fine to move forward with that. It's 80% at completely 0 out of 100, and then 1% durability to 50% durability is half, and then 20. One less for every 20%, above that.
Yeah. I like that. I'm happy with that.
I mean but even like if that's the case while leveling, that is somewhat punishing, right?
It is, but it's less. I think the scale doesn't really matter, right? I think that if you took those same repair percentage metrics and put them at an end game legendary item, I don't think it matters because the end game item, the material is so much rarer. The material is so much harder to get. So the punishment isn't necessarily within the number. The punishment then comes down the road with, I can go farm 30 iron. It's right outside the node. I've got a little patch behind my freehold, whatever the situation is, but I have to wait till we're raiding to go get the phoenix feather, the dragon tooth, the minotaur tusk, whatever it is.
Yeah. And for me, I like that because it adds to the risk reward, right? You're not, as I said earlier, you're not taking your absolute best set out for just random shit. You're like, okay, I'm taking my legendary out when we're trying to push. When we're trying to be our absolute best. And other than that, I'll have my other set of gear that I take out because I can easily repair it.
Quick question on that for clarification. And also opinion. Does all gear equipped and inventory get damaged or just equipped?
Just equipped.
Just equipped. Yeah.
I don't want. I think that if you're not actively,
I hard agree. Agree.
Yeah. But with that, gear in your inventory needs to take space. There needs to be a cost to bringing an extra set or something like that. It can't just be like, oh, I bring 5 million things and I have all this free space in my inventory for.
Oh yeah, well, he said it's not.
Whatever.
He doesn't like that Intrepid doesn't like the weighted system, but they do want like restrictive backspace.
Yeah, I don't like the button. You have 8 loadouts, right? You know what loadouts are great for? FPS games. Great. Click it. Yeah. Boom. I think gear needs to take up inventory space. I think mounts need to take up inventory space. I think these things need to take up inventory space so that if you're going out with my PvE set, my PvP set, and a gathering set, for example, we don't know that exists, but just as an example, I'm prepared.
We know that exists.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. I mean, if in
or Intrepid is said
in practice, not in existence. Right.
Okay.
What is if there is a situation where I would want to take all 3 of these sets with me, but if I choose to, I need to be able to gather less stuff. I need to be able to hold less stuff from the PvP things. I need to hold less quest items because I have this flexibility in what I'm doing out there. Then I
there's
a cost. Yeah. It's just everything is a cost, and then everything becomes a cost benefit analysis.
If I want to be able to have three sets of gear for 3 different types of content, then I'm able to carry less resources when I do put that gathering gear on to gather gear.
Or combat pets as well, right? That's part of gearing in this game.
I think
you shouldn't have like every combat pet available immediately.
Yeah, well, and I think it just I think the inventory system itself becomes the risk versus reward decision that's happening there. And I don't think we necessarily need to delve deeper into it. It's just a matter of tuning how much inventory space are people allowed to have Do they want people to be able to carry 2 full sets of gear, 3 full sets of gear, only 1 other set of gear? And I'm sure that there's numbers that kind of averages that out, right?
So I do have a question
Mhm.
that is related to gearing, and this is it a flat bag space where if you have too much, you just can't carry it? Or is it a movement speed reduction? What is the inventory system where, like, okay, I'm overweight, now I'm going really slow?
I hate that. I would just rather not be able to carry
I
it.
yeah, instantly I hate that, and I'm going to tell you why I hate that. Because here's a situation, games can be punishing, but you don't want games to feel bad. And there is a very specific difference there, right? How shitty are you going to feel when you're overweight, coming back from gathering a bunch of stuff, and someone runs at you to start PvPing you, and before you can even do anything, you have to be like, inventory, and automatically know the 7 items you're going to drop so that you move at a normal rate.
But that's also your choice. You could just drop all of that immediately and be moving full speed.
But it's not going to be drop all of that immediately. It's going to be trying to drop all of that while somebody's attacking you. You're already starting to lag behind. Like, I know you're coming from it with it, the risk versus reward thing, but I think that, as Fane is saying it, I think that this falls under, it feels shitty, and it's not a risk versus reward. It's just a risk. And
I mean,
sure, the reward is maybe you're able to carry more back home, but like that to me, anybody risking that is dumb. Like, there's some risks that aren't worth the reward, and so I think that might fall.
But that's like that. So I like it being left up to the player, and I'm just, my opinion here. I like to have the aspect of I'm choosing to have less movement speed. It's not just immediately like it's a scale, right? You're not just saying, oh, I'm suddenly moving 50% less fast. It's like, because I went 1% over the max carry limit. I like that scaling thing where it's like, okay, I know I have some really good shit. I don't really want to get rid of anything in my inventory. So I'm going to choose to run back a little bit slower and potentially get ganked and not be able to get out of it.
Well, I think the issue of the person exists before they even got to that point, that they just suck at inventory management. But
yeah.
Well, and that's it. It's like, I like it being left up to the player to manage their own inventory a little bit more than just saying,
I would say,
hard cutoff, no.
Normally, I would say that having it be a player decision is fine. I think that this is something that has such a negative effect that I would be fine with them just putting a hard cap on it. Like, I don't think that anybody's going to be sitting there and be like, because we've seen both, like, plenty of times throughout MMOs, that I don't think any one player is going to be like you might have a preference, but are you going to be upset if there's a hard cap?
No, and that's
exactly.
Like, I don't think it
impacts. Yeah, no, but I just don't think it impacts heavily enough on the player agency side for it to be justified as it needs to be. Like, that's where I feel like, because we've had the conversation before, I believe that there's such a thing as too much player agency. That might fall under that. Even if the impact is very small, that might just be something that would be easier from a development side for them to just go cap.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. Like, it doesn't matter that much one way or another. I just like that aspect of seeing someone moving. You're like, that mount should be moving faster.
Oh, so Bard is just wanting to PK people, and he wants to have a good.
Well, yeah, when you're looking at it and you're like, they weren't willing
now
to
we
drop
know what's
shit
going
to
on.
move full speed. Well, that's the risk reward, right? They weren't willing to drop stuff to move full speed. That means they got juicy shit on them. And that's the whole information aspect of
before somebody's
it's more telling if you have
feathers.
that.
Right.
Yeah. Just to troll people.
That goes back to how much is a ton of feathers? Does it weigh more than a ton of iron?
Yes, it does.
Yes, technically.
Because you can get tickled with feathers.
A ton.
So there's an emotional weight. There's an emotional weight of someone coming at you with a bunch of feathers.
All right. I did not see where you're going with that. Touche.
Yep. It's, I just think, so at the end of the day, I don't mind some things being punishing for if you've made a bad choice. It's for me, and it's a very personal thing. It just comes down to a gut feeling of how would I feel if I was in this space. We don't even know if things that you drop are recoverable, right? If it's not recoverable,
Yeah, does it drop into a little loot bag like in New World? Does it just disappear into the void? Like, can somebody else come along and pick it up because it's just sitting there on the ground? But I kind of derailed us there a little bit talking about the inventory stuff. But so we all agree that durability is only hitting stuff that is equipped, not in your inventory.
yes.
So talking about it, Fane, you were going forward into the talking about the rarity of the material is basically what's going to make it more punishing at the higher level, and that's why the system could persist from leveling into in-game as well. The numbers that we had broken down, and in kind of fast forwarding a little bit, unless there's a part in there that you guys want to go over to the in-game side of it, because again, I mean, leveling is an important experience, but a majority of most people's time will be played at level 50 and higher, or at level 50 and then geared higher.
Yeah.
What do we think is kind of a fair? Again, it's kind of just a knee jerk, right? We haven't played the game at a max level or anything like that. So it's, what do you think is a fair kind of time frame? How often, based on, I guess, let's say, we'll just take kind of how we play, for example, as the baseline in the theory craft is we're playing every day. We're doing dungeons as people need to do dungeons in the guild, and we're doing guild related events and random content for our own gear progression and yada yada yada. How frequently should that sword need to be repaired?
So here's my thought process on that. And the way I'm looking at it is, with the whole intermingled mesh of everything, is death does need to be punishing, because if death is not punishing, people will just PvP like crazy, kill everyone, not even care. And then we have what so many full open world PvP games have had, where there's no real punishment for death. So like, go back and look at classic WoW on a PvP server where you have a, max level rogue out in Stranglethorn Valley just ganking every single lobby because it makes them feel big dick. Like, that's not a good look. So there needs to be that kind of cost of like, oh, do I want to take this fight? And then you have the whole like posturing, and you're like, inspecting people, looking at people, deciding if you actually want to take that fight. That to me is super important in Ashes, because if we don't have that, we end up just with a gank fest that falls apart.
So how much?
How's chat, guys?
Just trying to keep up with chat.
How much?
I know.
How much on death is that sword getting hit? Just we'll go with percentage. We'll try to keep it to percentage.
I have a 100% sword. It's at 100 durability, and Wizzy comes up and kills me in this fantasy world. Fantasy world. I think you lose 30% of whatever your current durability is.
Wait, I just read.
Oh, I think that's way too high.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like 5% on death.
Really?
Because
maybe
maybe that's because it's leaning toward or lending to the idea that the materials are very rare to recraft it. And so again, I want the risk versus reward, but I don't want it to be too punishing. Like,
okay.
So if I go out and die, because again, and from a PvE aspect, even the PvP side, arguably you die more doing PvP content than you do in PvE, which gets into a whole other conversation. Do you get durability if you're doing arenas? Like, do you get durability loss if you're doing arenas? Because that could be somebody's main way of wanting to play the game, and that could be a hindrance to that. But what if you're grinding based on 30%, you're telling me that we have 3 pulls to kill this boss we've never seen before, and we're progging on it before everybody's shit is completely broken.
Okay, so maybe 30 is too high. I can definitely see that point of 30 being
is definitely too high.
But I don't feel like I feel like 5 is way too low. I think you do need to be punished for failing. I think that in terms of arenas and stuff like that, you're not going to get durability loss in arenas, right?
Oh my god, I just read the end of your fucking.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, back to the conversation. I think it needs to be different levels for different things. But I think if you're going to risk it, you need to know you have the bankroll to replace it.
Yeah, I'm not going in if I can't replace the gear that I'm going in there with.
Yeah,
I think the concern is how, if we've left the node where we would be repairing it or replacing it, like, and we go out and we wipe X number of times on whatever type of content that we're doing. Now we have to stop that content, go back to town, repair it. Like, that's okay to have happen, but in this, and please, I'm not saying that I'm a proponent of fast travel, because I'm not. What I'm a proponent of is making sure that the durability side in what we're talking about isn't forcing me to have to make that 30-minute march back to town every hour or 2 hours because we're progging on content.
What if there are field repairs that cost?
That would be fine.
More?
That I mean,
it costs more to repair it in the field, but you can bring out an anvil with your blacksmith, and they can repair it so you can get more tries.
Like a patch repair. Maybe they repair it, but they don't repair it to 100% durability. They repair it to, the highest they can repair it to 75% or something like that. And it's more of a weapon patch than a full repair.
Mm-hmm. I'd be okay with that. I still think 30% is too much. I'm between 10
absolutely.
and 15%. But I also think it should be different for PvE deaths versus PvP deaths.
I think PvP deaths should be less. Agreed?
Yeah.
Especially because so much of it's non-consensual.
Yes. Well, here's an interesting thing. So there's a lot of punishments if you don't end up flagging up, right? You drop more loot, you get a greater EXP debt. If you decide not to flag up and they gain corruption. But what if your repair cost was less?
I think it's hard to tell, right? Because I'm out.
Balance, yeah.
I'm out and I'm killing some mobs and I'm burning some durability on my sword, and then somebody comes and kills me and I chose not to flag up, or I chose to flag up. It's a lot for the game to track on the back end, right? And I think it makes it unnecessarily complicated, but even more so, the issue I'm seeing is that I don't want somebody to not know how much it's going to cost. I would like them to have an idea of how much it's going to cost, because risk versus reward isn't real when you don't understand the risk. If I know that this breaking, I'm going to hit this percentage and this is what it's going to cost me, then I can make that choice. I don't want to discourage the choice of that content being done if it's like, oh, but I don't really know what's going to happen. Let's find out, right? That's where I start to lose it.
That way though too. But I'm a unique individual. I like that.
Well, it's fun in not knowing like what a boss mechanic is going to be. It's not fun in knowing what like the impact of me dying is. I should know what the impact of my character dying is.
I also feel like in this day and age, it's gonna be like that information is gonna be on the wiki. It's gonna be out there. Every single person is gonna be letting people know. You lose 10% in this situation, you lose 5% in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, that information will eventually be parsed. All the information will eventually, someone will figure all of it out at some point. I'm more thinking in the day-to-day, in the first... A lot of the things that I tend to talk about, and I think that I think this, but I don't necessarily express it, is first 6 months. Because I think the first 6 months is the most crucial time. That's where you lose people. That's where people drop. Keeping that player base there and making sure the game feels good for month 1 through 6. So essentially February through August of 2024. That's when it really needs to feel good. If it doesn't,
subtle drop.
If it doesn't, that's when you lose people that early, it's very hard to get them back. It is
Well,
extremely hard to get them back.
And that's why I'm like very much a fan of making the leveling very different from the end game hardcore stuff. Like when you're getting into the end game and when you're trying these big world bosses that will be dropping huge shit, right? Like I don't want it to be like, oh, we've killed the world boss 20 times and we still haven't gotten this drop. It's like, no. Like
you want it to be we've tried to kill the world boss 20 times.
If we
finally got it in the epic thing,
and then we got it, and
Yeah.
we got
if we've
That
killed
to
it,
me
we
is a
have
much
the
better feeling.
we have the thing, right? Like if we kill the world boss, we have the thing. Now, do we have enough of the thing? Do we have the crafting recipe to craft the thing? That's a
Yeah.
totally different conversation, right?
Yeah.
Um,
but
and
all
I
that
think-
comes from another type of gameplay, right?
Yeah.
So you can't just farm the same world boss and be like, we're good.
Well, and to what Vladis is saying in chat here, leveling should be easy in the beginning with a growing difficulty, and I agree with that. From the standpoint of you need to essentially teach people what end game is going to be. The game needs Intrepid Studios has a responsibility to the player to teach them what they are progressing towards and how to accomplish what it is that they want to do once they get there. Not to the point where there's full guides, like, I mean, there's gonna be from content creators, but the game doesn't need to sit you down, hold your hand through every single step of the way, but they need to start moving you in a direction of this is why it's important to gather while you're also doing quests, because as your gear breaks, you also need the material to repair it. And so having that be starting to become more and more punishing as time goes on is good in the leveling process if the leveling is different than in game. I'm not completely opposed to that, but I don't want it to be level 1 through 49 is this system, and then level 50 is a completely different system. That didn't teach that.
So like after level 40, they start easing you into some of the more end game stuff. And like as I said earlier, I want that problem solving aspect. That's why I like sandbox games. I don't want it just to be like linear, but they do need to give you the tools to understand how to problem solve, or we lose so many players because
it's
like I'm at a wall, I don't know what to do.
It's like raising a child. A parent can't prevent every single bad thing or trial or tribulation that a kid is going to go through throughout their life. The best you can do is try to teach them the tools to handle any kind of thing that might come up, and that's not freak out when somebody calls you a bad name, or not like, or if something bad happens at work, understand that life fucking continues on. And so just having those kind of baseline tools, and that's what they need to teach through the leveling process. They need to treat all of us like we're their children, and slowly grow us through the leveling process. And then boom, in game hits, and it's like, you're on your own. We did what we could for you. It's up to you now to figure out the rest.
Yeah.
And part of that too, as I've said many times, is like, I hope at some point that Intrepid comes out and says, find a community. Like, find people to play with.
They already have.
Because this is
Steven
not...
did on an Asmongold interview. He straight up said.
This game's going to be really rough if you're solo. If you're solo, you are not going to enjoy this game, and you're not going to be able to experience everything that this game has. And just absolute pog champs in the chat, guys. That I love that a company is actually saying these things, because it needs to be said. It really needs to be said.
That's what an MMO is about, and unfortunately, with modern MMOs, it hasn't taught us that. That's what I remember, and why I fell in love with MMOs, is because like MMOs I have loved weren't necessarily about the game itself. It was about the people I was playing with, the knowledge, like constantly learning and working together to get better. Like those are the memories that Steven is trying and Intrepid are trying to encapsulate. And just like push on to people, and us as content creators, and then Intrepid as well needs to continually enforce that, in my opinion.
Even from the guild level, even if the three of us,
it has not been done for so long.
Sorry, I might be lagging on my side. I'm not trying to talk over
no I was done. Go ahead. No, I was done. Go ahead. Ahead.
Okay, sorry. It's like lags and then catches up on my end. Sorry. Not even from a content creator side, but
wait, did Redbeard freeze?
Yes.
Did he freeze?
He froze. He froze.
But from a even just
Sorry.
like a guild member side, right? Like it's important that we, if you're progressing further ahead, than the rest of the guild or something like that, that you are, you're going to be a resource within that guild and within that community that's there. And I think that that's something that hasn't really been hit home with a lot of the modern day theme park MMOs, because I'm guilty of it as well, because the way that I would see how to do something was from some Wowhead or Icy Veins or, whatever build or guide or whatever. And it's just like, they ask the question and you just link that and you say, here you go.
Yeah.
Like, and there's still going to be some of that, but I think being able to have those conversations of, oh yeah, hold on, let me finish up what I'm doing. I'll come help you out with that. I'll show you. It's a little intricate. It's a little bit difficult. I'll come show you. Like that social interaction right there is what's missing in those theme park MMOs, because it's just so much. It's not my time. You're not worth my time, whatever. And that's what's created this elitist mentality that I was subject to for a long time in WoW. And so breaking away from that, it's definitely, I appreciate the fact that Intrepid is going at it from a community focused idea. And I know we've gone completely off the rails with the Gearing side of it now at this point, but
This is just where we are now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Fupo! Okay. What's up, Fupo?
Yeah, and I mean, this is a controversial topic, but I've said for a long time that I think for a sandbox game, the community is somewhat held responsible for how the game ends up.
100%.
And a lot of people don't realize that. You get these guilds who just want to dominate, and you see it over and over again with these super hardcore guilds. They go into a game, absolutely dominate, and then they say, this game sucks.
Yeah. We chase
And
off everyone.
leave.
So, I mean,
And it's like, well, no, like set it up to be fair. Like set it up to be the beer. I always talk about the beer league, but set it up so that like, hey, there's always, we're here to have fun. We're not here to just win.
Yeah.
Some people are here to win, but that's on them.
Short-term thinking.
I think you can have the hardcore mentality while still being helpful and not a detriment to the game or your server.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at New World as far as like, what destroys a server in New World is when one faction owns the entire thing. And I know this is something that we've talked about as far as server health from the player side, but that's a player decision there. And I would have a lot more respect for a guild, even though it might not be what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would have respect for a guild that would say, you know what, we're not going to take this metropolis. We're not going to take this node because we already own 3 of the metropolises or something like that. And, we don't want to just completely destroy this node or this server. And that's where I see the aspect of, regardless of how easily accessible that is or not in Ashes, the point still remains that there's a way to go hardcore and have fun and even be an asshole within a game while still respecting and understanding that it is a game ultimately, and B, that because it's a game, you can break it, and you can break it from the social side, and that's no fun. Nobody wants to be around that. Then even if you're the asshole that's breaking it from the social side, you might
they
sit
don't
there.
want to be around it.
Yeah, they don't want to be around you, and now your server's dead because nobody wants to be around you. And it's like, okay, well, cool. You're the kings of no man's lands. Congratulations. Like, nobody plays with you guys except for your own people. So, and then they end up leaving anyways because there's no content happening. So it's so short-sighted to just be a one-track asshole.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Well, I will say we got a little derailed, but I think we had a great conversation tonight. But we are coming to time here.
We are.
So, why don't we start with some outros?
Let's do it. Redbeard. Let's start with Redbeard. I want to start with Redbeard. His beard's longer than mine. He deserves to go first.
God, the respect that I have been fighting for a year has finally come.
Here's the thing. We need to add the hair on top to the beard on bottom. You're still winning, Redbeard, but that won't be for long with Fane.
Yeah, I've got this. Is getting long back here.
Fane's man bun better not ever appear in his beard. That's all I gotta say.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get it so long that I make 2 man buns and then tie it into my beard here.
The only thing that's acceptable
Ooh.
for braiding a beard is like Viking type style.
I've been told that we're getting Christmas ornaments. That this is gonna be good enough to put the Christmas ornaments in the beard. Yep.
And you didn't just tell her no.
Listen. There's not a lot to do after 10 p.m. at night, Redbeard. You know, sometimes you got to just be looking out for your best interests.
Oh, amateur.
Sure.
And Fane's like, it's past 10 p.m. So
No, I got a couple hours.
Yeah, no, he's
I know.
West Coast.
Best Coast time.
Captain Redbeard here on Twitch. Stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 7 p.m. Central. As it is right now, variety streamer. Looking forward to Pokemon, Hogwarts Legacy, Diablo 4, obviously Ashes when that comes out, but smattering of games. I don't really ever just play one game or one type of game. I'm a typical gamer that has many games that they play. So join me over there here on Twitch. And yeah, Fane, and you better mention the thing that you are setting up for dads. You're dressing up as a dad.
Oh God, I don't think I can say that. Oh wait, we can't get demonetized. We don't have a sub button. Okay, guys. So here's the deal. Isfane.com for all my social links. Number 1, we're back to streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're doing MMO Mondays where we're going to play some sort of MMO. We're doing Ash Wednesdays where we talk about Ashes of Creation. And we're doing FPS Fridays where I click heads in Valorant, LOLOL. But I sent out a tweet, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know exactly what this tweet was. And I said, I'm going to start an OnlyFans where I dress up like a dad and I just give people approval. If you sub to it, I will give you the fatherly approval that you've always wanted. I got approved. I ordered white New Balance shoes. I'm ready. I'm ready with the lawnmower. We're going to take some photos. We're just going to have fun with it. We're going to do it for the memes, to be perfectly honest. Always do it for the memes. But be sure to follow me in all of those cool places.
And also related / unrelated, he will also have a second channel where it is a dad disapproving of your actions, thus completing the cycle of paying Fane twice to get approval and disapproval.
Correct. Which normally to get my disapproval, all you have to say is that druids will have fast travel in the Ashes office hours. That's normally all it takes. But now you have to pay for my disapproval, chat. I'm neutral on all of you.
Wait, did someone say that?
Bro, okay. So, pause before Bardic does his outro. When we were doing the map one, right? Somebody decided to speak up in a group of like 180, and I think that I'm not sure how I feel about the stages that they're doing in the office hours now. I'm really not sure how I feel about it. I think it stifles creativity. But someone literally said, well, maybe the druid class would be able to see the map and all the fast travel points. And I literally was like, did you stumble into the wrong fucking Discord? I didn't know what game he was talking about. I'm like 5 years of my life just disappeared, flashed before my eyes. I was like, am I way off base? What's been going on? Can I make a YouTube video about the druid class? Oh my God, bad.
I think we should just change everything and suddenly have racial currency.
Put that.
Oh
tweet
my
back
God.
up, Fane. We'll
Guys.
tweet back up.
Guys, the tweet.
While Bard does his outro.
All right, Bard, do your outro.
I'm Bardic, not making a lot of content right now other than, Wednesday podcasts, which I love doing. These guys are awesome. But yeah, as soon as we get into that next marketing beat, I have so many ideas for videos. I'll be streaming. We're going full-fledged back into Ashes of Creation. And soon as we get that Alpha 2 announcement, or are pretty sure we're getting close. So...
Alpha 2 win, yeah, Fopo. Somebody better let Intrepid know. But guys, until next time. What?
I was just gonna say, Fopo has something to say. He knows something.
He
that
says,
we don't?
somebody better let Intrepid know about the druid.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
but Steven tweeted it right here, Fwoppo.
Yeah,
right
Steven,
here.
the evidence is on the screen.
It's
This
on the
is not-
screen. I don't know what you're. It's definitely not fake.
There's zero
guys.
likes. Zero likes.
I got
zero
it. I got it
comments.
instantly.
So real.
I screenshot this
So
instantly.
real.
I messed up. That's what I messed up. I should have put like 14 likes on it and like a couple comments. That's
You
really
should've
where
put,
I
like-
messed up.
You should have put like 5,000 comments and like 100 likes.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's what it would have been.
Oh my god! Thank God Twitter does not have dislikes. Next week, y'all, we are going to be doing our pre. No comment is smart. Next week we're going to be doing our pre.
Ranger.
Ranger. We'll be discussing that. We're going to be talking about what we like and dislike in ranged combat. So if you have hard opinions about that, be sure to tweet at us at 2guysandabard on Twitter. Be sure to follow us over there and let us know what you like and what you hate.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
All right. Peace
Say
out, guys.
Bye, chat.
Bye,
Say
chat.
for YouTube.
Bye,
See you next
chat.
week.